Hey, welcome to Chomping at the Bit. How you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a great day. You're enjoying the weekend, and I hope you're prepared for the NFL weekend. I know we got started on Thursday night with Week 5 slate, Broncos and the Colts, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But obviously, I have to do my Week 5 NFL picks, and well, that's what we'll do on this episode. You know, had a rough start to the season, and currently, I'm 30 and 35 because I did include the Broncos game, which I did pick. But last week I went 10-6, so I think I'm really starting to turn the tide on my picks here. Hopefully, I can have another great weekend. And normally, I do these videos before the Thursday night game, but I did make my picks over on Sports Empire Network for Thursday night, so you can check that out. If you go check out the Big Three podcast on Sports Empire Network or Pre Gaming Pigskin. Both of those shows I made Thursday night picks, so I'm gonna include it here on this episode as well. But yeah, let's go ahead, just get into these games. Not no reason to really waste any time. So, like I said, start with the Denver game. I took Denver minus the 3.5. Also, the lines, if you check them out, they may be a little different now, but I'm just using the line that the games were at when I made these picks originally. That's just let you know. So obviously you saw the game Thursday night. Denver did not cover. They didn't win the game, and their offense is still broken. I think what's going on right now, you know, Russell Wilson is lacking confidence in himself. He's lacking confidence in what he's seeing on the field, especially in the red zone. Because if you saw, once again, that fourth down play, actually, let's backtrack because at the end of regulation, the interception that he threw in the end zone, that was probably 60% Russell Wilson's fault, 40% the wide receiver who I couldn't remember. I know he went in for Sutton because Sutton was out on that play. Because the receiver ran a slant route into the end zone. But as he was, approaching Gilmore and he started to make that, turn for the slant, Gilmore was on his back. But the receiver, for some reason, took it deeper into the end zone than he really needed to. And that allowed Gilmore to undercut it, which is why Gilmore intercepted it. But Wilson's pass was also late. So that's a case where two wrongs definitely made a catastrophic wrong in a turnover in that situation when they could have just, it should have been an easy pitch and catch there for the lead. Or worst case, it should have been a pass that Gilmore maybe had to knock away and wouldn't have had a chance to pick off, and then they just kicked the field goal. So, you compound that with the overtime. Though the Colts get the field goal, Denver's driving down. It was probably their best back-to-back play call of the night, where they had the screen pass first to get a chunk of yards. Then they ran play action, and Russell Wilson hit Jerry Jeudy down the right side for another chunk of yardage. Then they got into the red zone and everything kind of bogged down. So, fourth down, when they originally just ran to the line and made it seem like they're going to go right away, catch Indianapolis off guard, the center wasn't covered. So, most quarterbacks, I feel like, have this play where, they can kind of tap the center, like on his leg or something. He'll snap it to him, then you just fall over, get the first down. That opportunity was there. Russ didn't take it. He stood there, he waited, he started making a bunch of calls. Then I think Indianapolis called timeout. Okay, fine. Then they come out, they line up again. I think this time they're in shotgun instead of being under center. So I think that kind of let Indianapolis know that was going to be a passing play, because if you only need a yard, I think lining up in shotgun and then doing a slow delayed handoff is risky at that point. So Denver calls timeout because they see the defense Indianapolis is in. So now, round 3 of fourth down here, they put Russ in shotgun again. He takes the snap, and they ran a rub action to his right, which Russ never looked over there, so he doesn't even know what's going on over there. Oh, he should. I mean, he made the play call, so he does know what's happening there. He just never looks that way, which, fast forward real quick to post game. Well, actually, the play ends up being, Russell Wilson staring down Sutton to his left. He throws a pass that gets knocked away by Gilmore, and the game ends. But to his right, which leads to Richard Sherman after the game talking about it's, you know, reminded him of the Super Bowl against New England where Malcolm Butler made an interception, where they ran basically the same route combo to Russell Wilson's right. So at that time, he stared down the right, threw it, picked off. You all know. So this time, it's like he refused to look that way because I guess he assumed it wasn't going to be open. But as I watched it live, from off screen, Hamler comes storming into view wide open. But like I said, Russell's not looking that way. So that play never happens. And if you look to the right, Judy coming off of the rub route, running the out, was actually open, although that's probably the more dangerous throw out of the two. So obviously, once the ball gets knocked away by Gilmore, Hamler's upset in the back of the end zone, which I understand his frustrations because for those wide receivers, it has to be infuriating to see this offense continue to struggle week in and week out with the pieces that they have. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think Russell Wilson's just in his head too much right now. I think he's lacking confidence. And as one of those people, maybe one of the remaining people out there who has Russell Wilson on their fantasy team, I continue to play him because I feel like there's going to be some week where something clicks and this offense just takes off. We're getting into week 5 now. Getting a little impatient, but I think I'll hold on for another week or two. But so that kicked off, Thursday night. I mean, week 5. But of course, there's more games to talk about, so we're going to go through these, and I'll give quick analysis on. I mean, I think previous weeks this episode's been a little bit longer than I would like, so let's go through these and yeah, just run through them. So next game I have is New England. It's at home against the Detroit Lions. I'm taking New England -3, and I'm doing that because I like Bailey Zappi. It looks like he's gonna get his first start. I mean, Brian Hoyer's on IR. Mac Jones isn't ready to come back. I think they signed Garrett Gilbert as a backup or to the practice squad or whatever. So, I mean, who else is going to play quarterback at this point? But Zappi looked great against Green Bay. Detroit is coming off giving up 48 points to the Seahawks. So, I think this is a game where Zappi could feel comfortable as long as they keep Hutchinson away from him. And I think it's going to be an important game for Harris and Stevenson in the backfield to be productive, to make Zappi even more comfortable. But I like what Zappi did against Green Bay. I think that continues against Detroit, and they get the win there. So I'm taking New England -3. Feel pretty confident in it. Although Detroit, we know, they're a feisty group, so they may not make it easy, but I like New England in this one. Next game I have Bucks -8.5 against the Falcons. All I really know here is Brady has never lost to Atlanta. I think he's 10-0 against the Falcons. I expected to go to 11-0. I think the pass game last week with the Bucks, you saw the offense start to come together, and the Falcons don't have Kyle Pitts, although he hasn't been that big of a factor this year. I'll probably have to say this for another video or something, but the Pitts pick is looking worse and worse week after week when he's not a factor in any of these games. Even though I made it known when that pick was coming up. I knew they were going to take Pitts, but I felt like the Falcons should have went with an actual position of need, like offensive line, anybody on defense, and they chose the luxury pick of a ultra athletic tight end that they can't seem to get the ball to. Interesting. So I got the Bucks in this one, no problem. Next up, Packers against the Giants over in London. So it's a second week of a London game, and I don't think this game is going to be as good as the Vikings Saints game was last week because the Giants come to this one with Daniel Jones being hobbled. I believe he's going to start, even though he has a kind of bummed ankle, which will definitely take away part of the Giants' offense, which a lot of it is Daniel Jones scrambling around when plays break down. So it's going to put more of an emphasis on Saquon Barkley, which then gives the Packers something to game plan for, where they're probably just load up against Barkley and force Daniel Jones to make plays with his arm. But the wide receiving core is kind of banged up for the Giants. So I think, Green Bay with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon as a two-headed force in the backfield should have an easy time against the Giants. So I'll take the Packers minus the 8 there. Next game, Bills versus the Steelers. It's start of the Kenny Pickett era. And I think it was last week on pregame pigskin, I actually made this prediction. I kind of made it tongue in cheek, but it actually came true because that's when the Steelers were playing the Jets, and I said that we're getting the debut of Zach Wilson this season, and then I wouldn't have been surprised if Pickett makes a appearance in the second half because Trubisky gets benched. Literally what happened. So now we're onto the Pickett era. Tough ask, to get him his first start against a Buffalo team that is, likes to bring a lot of pressure defensively. So Pickett is going to have a lot to diagnose and try to decipher. I'm interested to see what kind of, offensive game plan they have in store, but I feel like they should just kind of let Pickett sling it. Just let him throw it around, see what happens. Maybe he turns the ball over a couple times, but I mean, just get it out of the system right now. Pickett will be fine in the future. And Steelers aren't expected to win, so why not take some chances? But yeah, I think Buffalo rolls in this one easily. So I'm taking the 14 points, which usually I stay away from large lines like 14, but I think in this case, it makes all the sense in the world. Next game, Cleveland against the Chargers. I actually have Cleveland plus 2.5 here. I think Cleveland's going to slow this game down. You'll see a lot of Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you know, muck up the game, as analysts like to say, limit Herbert's opportunities, for that offense. Because Herbert, even though he has a rib injury, he's actually looking pretty good. So um, I don't think Keenan Allen's playing in this one, which I think will hurt the offense as it has the past couple of weeks. But I actually think Cleveland has a good shot in this one, so I'm taking them plus 2.5. I think Brissett will be fine as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. They should be fine. So give me the Browns in that one. Next game is Bears Vikings. I'm taking the Bears plus 7. Now for this one, I'm not really expecting the Bears to win, but it's just something weird with the NFC North and kind of the unpredictability of the Vikings sometimes, where they're going up against an opponent where it looks like they might be able to roll them, but sometimes they kind of let them hang around, and I think that's what's going to happen in this one. So, I like the Bears plus 7 to keep it interesting. I think Justin Fields is going to have another heroic performance for them to beat the Vikings in this one. But hey, the Bears are hanging in there. I think a lot of people were look at the Bears as a team to, maybe be winless or struggle to get a win or two. They've already got a couple of wins now. Maybe it's not as bad in Chicago, but real quick note, I actually heard, actually, it's pregame Pinkskin where, it was brought to my attention that the Bears are entertaining, if they're bad enough this season, going after like Bryce Young in the draft, which I think would be completely the wrong idea. Because if you watch the Bears, the quarterback position is actually a position where they are set in. It's just that the pieces around Fields right now aren't good enough. And that's where a lot of the struggles come. So if you draft Bryce Young, that means they're going to completely give up on Justin Fields. Now you're bringing in Bryce Young with a similar offense, although they're going to have a lot of money next year. But why not then use that money with Fields at quarterback and then just use your draft picks somewhere else? I don't know, a wide receiver worth caring about defensively, or offensive line. Protect Justin Fields. That would be the smart play. But if the Bears go that way, that'll kind of signify why the Bears have struggled so much. So, yeah. Next game, I have the Saints. Saints -5. They're going against the Seahawks. I mean, the Saints had a great showing last week with Dalton at quarterback. Now, I think it's still up in the air whether it's going to be Dalton or Winston this week. I think either way, they should be fine against the Seahawks. Seahawks, even though they won that game against the Lions, they still gave up 45 points. So the defense isn't that good. Now, we'll have to see in terms of the wide receiver position what the Saints will look like, because I think it's trending towards Thomas being out. I think Landry's questionable, but I think there'll still be enough there for them to win, especially the Saints defense, I think, should be able to handle the Seahawks offense. And I think that's going to be a key part in this. May they turn over the Seahawks offense a couple of times and get some short field to help the Saints offense get some points on the board. But I'm taking the Saints -5. All right, next game. So after that, I have Miami. So Miami is -3.5 against the Jets. I'm taking Miami, but the whole Tua thing, which I think I talked about on here, but you know, that situation is getting worse by the day. We're still looking to see what's going to happen with Tua in terms of his future. Obviously, he's not going to play in this game. I mean, they've already screwed him for the past 2 weeks. So he's not playing in this. So they have Bridgewater, who's a capable backup. And I have nothing against Bridgewater. I like Bridgewater a lot. But the Miami organization right now is, I mean, they're in a position where it's really hard to root for them. Once again, I'm not a Dolphins fan, but even picking them to win games, it's like taking a lot out of me to actually just do that, because the way they handle the Tua situation, the way that they, you know, even before this, Brian Flores, amongst other things, the Tom Brady tampering. And I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm not supposed to like the Dolphins anyway, be honest with you. But I do think in this one, they beat the Jets. The Jets are still, I mean, the Jets are building something there, but it's only Zach Wilson's second game back. And I just don't, yeah, I'm just going to go with the Dolphins in this one. No real reason to go into it anymore, because, like I said, I don't really want to talk about the Dolphins that much. Also, Tyreek Hill plays for them. Not a fan of Tyreek Hill for a plethora of reasons, but yeah. Um, Next, the Commanders. So I'm taking the Commanders +2.5 against the Titans. I think in this matchup it's going to be very simple. Can the Commanders' defensive line and defensive front seven corral Derrick Henry? If so, they'll probably win this game. And if Carson Wentz doesn't, turn the ball over offensively, they'll win this game. The Titans' offense outside of Derrick Henry does not scare me at all. It shouldn't scare Washington, because the wide receivers aren't that special. Tannehill has his moments, but overall, not that special at the quarterback position. And who knows? Maybe this is the game where the noise from Malik Willis starts elevating because I'm sure for Tennessee fans, if they lose to Washington, they'll probably really start questioning what's going on offensively and all that. So I like Washington in this one. Wentz has scary Terry McLaurin. I believe Logan Thomas is a tight end. I don't think he's injured or anything. And I actually like Logan Thomas at tight end. I mean, it's interesting, him being a quarterback at Virginia Tech and now he's a tight end for Washington. Pretty cool. But I just like Washington's team better, even though, they're not really built on any success recently. But I just like their pieces over Tennessee right now. So give me Washington in that one. All right. Next matchup I got is, let me see, Jacksonville. So I got Jacksonville -7 against the Texans. For me, it's very simple. Jacksonville's probably the best team in that division right now. Even though record wise, I think they're all kind of clumped together, other than the Texans who are winless. But yeah, this is a game Jacksonville needs to win. They should win by more than a touchdown. Because for the Texans, you have Damian Pierce, who I really like, but Davis Mills seems like he's taken a bit of a step back this year. And Jacksonville, you know, you gotta give them credit. They look much better under Doug Peterson than they did under Urban Meyer. And yeah, grand scheme of things, if they want to be serious about winning this division, this is a game they need to win comfortably. And I'd like to see, Travis Etienne, like to see some progression out of him. I don't want him taking the starter role from James Robinson, because James Robinson, who, a lot of people in Jacksonville seem to have doubted, well, especially Urban Meyer, who didn't really want to give him the starting job last year. But Peterson seems like he's ready to, you know, let Robinson just roll until I guess he stops being effective. So I like what Jacksonville has going on. So I'm taking them -7. Should be no questions about that. All right. So the next game I have is the Niners -6.5 over the Panthers. Simple here. I think the Niners defense is gonna, play tricks on Baker Mayfield, Christian McCaffrey, whoever else is on that Panthers offense. Hasn't been special to date. Don't expect it to be anything great against the Niners, who have a really good defense. Garoppolo in the offense can be a little up and down at times, but Debo Samuel is a beast wherever you line him up in the backfield, out wide. Put him in wildcat. I don't care. Just get the ball in his hands. He'll make something happen. And you have Brandon Ayuk out there as well, who, you know, top level wide receiver as well. So the Niners have the better team, better talent, uh, better coach team. Give me the Niners here. Next up might be my upset of the week. Well, I mean, spoiler alert, if you saw the Tuesday night show on the Big Three podcast, it was my upset of the week. So womp womp. But I like Dallas. Now, saying those words makes my stomach turn a little bit, but I like Dallas +5.5 against the Rams. And this is more because I'm not impressed by the Rams at all. I think Stafford has regressed, I guess. This is kind of the guy Stafford is. And, we're seeing their struggles offensively. Defensively, they're steady, but you can catch Ramsey on like a double move every once in a while. Donald has certain games where you notice him, other games he's kind of disappeared, only because it's not that hard to game plan for him, but it's whether you have the personnel to do it. Now, I'm not saying Cooper Rush is like the next big thing in the NFL. He's been steady for the Cowboys. They've kind of tailored the offense to, not put a lot of pressure on him. But we also seen what I mean. I guess the flip side, we've seen games with the Rams where they have struggled against, special players defensively. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Micah Parsons get a couple of sacks in this game. Demarcus Lawrence, some other guys put some pressure on Stafford, force him to, make some mistakes with his little sidearm stuff and all that, you know, all that he likes to do. And he still won't throw to Allen Robinson. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's something where McVay needs to scheme better to make. I don't know, but it just doesn't make sense that they went through all the trouble signing Robinson, signed him to a pretty healthy deal, and then he's not a part of the offense. It's all Cooper Cup, which I get because Cooper Cup special, set the uh, was it catches record last season, and may even break that this year. But it's like Stafford's obsession with guys like Skoranek, Higby. I mean, I'm fine because Higby's the tight end. You should target your tight end, but the Skoranek thing is odd to me. So eventually, I guess Allen Robinson becomes part of the offense. Until then, I may just start picking against the Rams, to be honest with you. So I got Dallas in this one. All right. So next up, I have, let me see, I think it's the Eagles. Yeah, I'll go the Eagles. So I got the Eagles -5 against the Cardinals. I think on paper, great matchup. Hurts versus Murray. Two, quarterbacks that are on the short side. Both black quarterbacks. That's always a, rarity in the NFL when you get both of them going up against each other. There's a couple others in the league. I'm just saying when you get a matchup like this. Also, it's a game where Philly. We've seen what they are. They're well coached. They execute. They have some lapses sometimes defensively where they kind of let teams linger, but Hurts looks like he's improved his game. Devontae Smith become a legitimate like number one threat. You still have AJ Brown, who's also a number one threat. Miles Sanders out of the backfield looks good. Defensively, they have playmakers. Their secondary is really good with Bradbury leading that group. If the Cardinals play it to their potential, this is a game that could turn into maybe like a game of the week type of thing. Could even turn into like a little bit of a shootout. But I just think the Eagles are the better team right now. Probably the best team in the NFL. I know some people might say Kansas City or whatever, but Philly's at least in the argument. So I just think that they're the better team here. So I'm going with Philly -5. All right. So now I think we're down to the last couple of games here. So I'm going with the Bengals +3 against the Ravens. Basically, with this one, the Ravens are coming off that odd loss last week. I think some of that lingers in this game. I think Cincinnati, in that game against Miami, which was overshadowed with the whole Tua thing, Cincinnati's kind of getting back to the team that we knew them to be from last season. So I just think that where this is on the schedule, where both these teams are right now, I think Cincinnati comes into this one with more confidence. I think Baltimore's going to try to blitz Burrow a lot, and I think that's going to be to their detriment because when Burrow gets blitzed, he usually, will throw like a hot route to Higgins or Boyd. I think Higgins might be questionable in this game, but he'll throw to one of those guys, or he'll throw it up to Chase. Chase has great ball skills with the football in the air, and he's also quick enough to get behind certain defenders. And I think we'll probably see Baltimore put Humphrey on him a lot. And if they get arrogant enough to try to one on one Humphrey with Chase, I think Chase will burn Humphrey. So I just like the Bengals in this game, not only to cover +3, but I think the Bengals win this game outright, to be honest with you. And I think it's probably the start of the Bengals really starting to separate themselves from the rest of the AFC North because I think they're the better team in that division. Actually, I should say I think they're the best team in that division, and I think they'll start to show it here over the next couple of weeks. Now, the final game of the week have the Chiefs Raiders. I got the Chiefs -7. I know the Raiders got their win last week against the Broncos, but as we're kind of seeing, the Broncos are in disarray right now. So I don't know how much to read into that with the Raiders, but although it was good for them to get a win, Josh Jacobs looks like a guy who, you know, is kind of, back to that um not elite running back, but he's at least productive. I think the past couple of years, whether it was injuries and all that, Jacobs is really starting to look like a mistake almost. But he looked good last game. Derek Carr was fine. Maybe maybe he and Adams can have a big game, and this turns into another possible shootout. I could see that because he also have Darren Waller, so the pieces are there offensively. But I'm just not going to go against Kansas City right now because I think Kansas City is the better team in this matchup, and yeah, I think Mahomes is trying to prove something. I think he's trying to get that second ring, which has eluded them for the past couple of seasons. I think he's going out for the MVP because he's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle of the quarterback situation. With all the attention on Burrow because of last season, Josh Allen because he's on the come up with Buffalo. There's attention on Lamar Jackson without the contract. Is he going to get paid? All that stuff. Russell Wilson coming over from Seattle was a big story at Denver. Carr getting Devontae Adams made it a big story. Herbert, everybody's trying to elevate him to that elite level. So I think Mahomes is trying to reestablish himself in the hierarchy of not only AFC quarterbacks but around the league. So he's going to want to put up big numbers, and I think they get that done. So those are my picks. Like I said, I am 30-35 right now. That's including the Denver game, which I did lose. But I went 10-6 last week. If I could go 10-6 again this week, I'll be right back around 500, and then we can start that slow climb out of average, and maybe I can end up around 55, 60% this year. But we'll see. It's gonna be tough. So yeah, but those are the picks for the week, and you know get all this out of the way, please follow, like, subscribe, and share. Chomp at the bit. Really appreciate it. You know, like I said, recently switched and added this video portion to the podcast, which I'm really having fun doing with you guys. And for the audio listeners, if you want to switch it up every once in a while, check me out, Chomp at the Bit on YouTube or on Facebook to watch the video version, but it's still available, wherever you listen to podcasts. So definitely check it out there and really help out, support, build a community. So then if I do, do a live stream or something, maybe get some of you guys, in the comments or in the chat, and we can go back and forth, like that, have some fun with it. But yeah, so as I mentioned before, I was on Sports Empire Network, which is live on Facebook and YouTube, but there are some things in the work where might be available other places. If you have a TikTok, the network has a TikTok, so you might see you know, me in some clips on there. But there's some other things in the works which I mean, until they're actually happening, I won't talk about on here. But I'm on there Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern for the Big Three podcast, and then Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Taking you up to Thursday Night Football on pre-gaming pigskin. So would really appreciate you guys supporting me there as well. Have a lot of fun over there on the network. A lot of great guys on there, a lot of great shows on there. So you can check out some of the other shows on there besides the two I just told you that I'm on, because obviously you gotta check those out because I'm on those. But also Friday nights at like 8:15, I am on the JJL Sports Talk Show which is on YouTube as well. It's also on Facebook. Uh, it's live on those two platforms as well. It's also available wherever you listen to podcasts as well. So a lot of the audio listeners on this show, you want to hear me on another show, check out JJL Sports Talk Show as well. Yeah, I'm out here, several places. I'm just trying to, just having a lot of fun talking sports with a lot of great guys. And yeah, hopefully you can follow me on these different platforms and avenues and really support. I appreciate it. And yeah, the grind continues for me, but it's still fun. So I thoroughly enjoy it all. But thanks again for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, like I said, do all those things that make me happy. Follow, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But hopefully you enjoy the weekend. You know, enjoy all the sports, whatever you like. We got NBA preseason going on, the NFL slate, a lot of good games on the schedule. College football, some good games this weekend. Premier League, which I was watching earlier this morning, and we'll probably try to catch another game or two. There's a lot going on. Oh, baseball playoffs. Didn't even forgot about that. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So enjoy yourselves. Be safe out there. God bless, and I'll catch you next episode. All right. Have a good one.